Statistics a few years ago showed that the banking sector in Nigeria here employed about 30,000 people out of the entire workforce of this economy. Ladies and gentlemen, at that time, they called people in the banking sector the privileged few. And today, we can still call them the privileged few. Why? Because intelligence is no longer a real requirement for success. With the invent of artificial intelligence, right now, intelligence seems to have been decentralized. It's no longer a few people who say they are the intelligent ones. Now, what differentiates and gives you the leverage for success today? I'm going to let you know in my first statement in this video. My name is Iyore. I've trained over 25,000 salespeople across 5 countries: Nigeria, Ghana, USA, UAE, Rwanda. I'm an author of several books and resources on sales, and I'm featured on lots of media platforms to talk about successful selling. I worked in an organization, a bank, where I was given a target to sell to 20 high net worth individuals, and I was able to bring in 21 high net worth individuals in a single month. I also participated in a sales competition in the bank where I won, and I was sent for the World Cup for an all-expense paid trip for selling the most amount of retail products and credit card sales then. I also moved to another bank, another organization, where I was given a target. Well, this was an international bank this time, where I was able to double my portfolio by over 100% in just 11 months. I'm currently the CEO for Advantage, and our specialty is in Salesforce management. In today's video, which is banking sales techniques, I'm going to be showing you the key strategies and skills you can use to sell strategically as a banker and exceed sales targets. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, artificial intelligence has been decentralized. Intelligence is no longer the key factor for success today. The key factor for success today is the word courage. Courage. And you see, courage is in the heart. Courage is the impetus and willingness to take action, massive action, even when you're afraid. Now, the banking sector, the reason why they are called privileged few is because this is the only sector where they really have the crazy sales targets, where they have the kind of targets that people are always in awe when you wonder, how can one person achieve this kind of targets? Big numbers. Now, maybe other industries have come up to speed to start giving their staff the kind of big numbers, but you see, this was the banking sector initiated these bold moves. Now, it's called the privileged few because you see, courage is a requirement for success today. And if you're a banker watching this video now, and you make up your mind to approach your targets or confront your targets, not run away from your targets. If you read the story of David and Goliath, the Bible says that when Goliath charged towards David, the Bible says that David charged towards Goliath. What am I trying to say? The same way your targets have been put before you, you must charge towards them. You must charge towards these targets. And you find out that with this attitude of mind, of not running away or fainting your mind about targets, but confronting it, you will see that you will bring out the best in you. See, nobody truly knows their potential. When you look at a seed, no seed knows the kind of forest that's inside of it. It takes pressure. See, when you plant a seed in the ground, many things happen. Decay, pressure, heat, many things go on to unwrap the seed, and then growth happens. One of the things that targets do to you, they help unwrap the real potential in you, and growth happens. I remember when I was in a financial institution, my first encounter with the crazy sales target. I had been given no targets before now. I had been seeing targets, maybe I was bringing 1 HNI per month or 2 HNIs per month. I was bringing a certain amount of money. These targets were kind of big, but the day I came across a target that was Herculean, gargantuan, was the day I had presented to doing NPR, and I had open my slide. I had gotten 4 high net worth individuals. Let me give you a background. Before you got to 1 or 2, it was a big deal. For many months, people had come into that organization, that particular branch. They had sat on my desk and were not able to bring in HNIs. In fact, when my boss came from leave, she saw me and she said, "Have you been able to bring in any HNIs?" I said, "Not yet." She said, "Okay, good." Because she knew that it was a difficult task. But as I started to read books on sales, I started to get the concepts about selling. I came across certain things I could do to close sales better. I started putting them to work. And all of a sudden, I was seeing that sales was coming in. One of the techniques I put to work was follow-up. People who were engaged, I followed them up consistently. And on a particular month, thank God, apart from the fact that one sale started coming here, one sale started coming there, on a particular month, 4 HNIs I closed. Only for me to go to NPR, open my slide, I did my presentation. Then People in the audience, other account officers, they said, wow, this guy tried. This guy, he tried. But the branch managers and regional managers who were sitting in front, they said to me, they said, what's this? What else is good in your slide apart from the HNIs you brought? Because like in banks now, you have other lines you'll be judging you on. They'll look at maybe corporate sales, your SME, they'll look at your loan portfolio, look at many things. So it looked like the HNI sales was the one that stood out the most, and I focused on that. So somebody said, what else is good on your slides apart from these HNIs? And that was how it provoked other managers, and they started to speak harshly to me. And even my branch manager was one who now said, Iyore, this month, go and get us 20 high net worth individuals. Now, in my mind, I didn't think it was possible. How many working days do you have in a month? 20 working days per month. That means you wanted me to bring in one HNI per day. But what changed for me was the fact that after that session, during the week, we were going out on a sales call to see clients. I was with a colleague of mine. While I was in the car with this colleague of mine, he was asking me about my target. He said, Iyore, how far was your target this month? My attitude, I said, I'll just do my best. You see, the attitude of a banker matters. Your attitude towards your targets. Don't look at it like the bank is punishing you. The bank is paying you to perfect your selling skills. You must see it that way. You must realize that you are not working for the bank. You are working for yourself. This must be your mentality. Do you know how I got this mentality? It was from this colleague of mine. When he asked me, he said, how far were your targets? I said, I'll do my best. He then said to me, he says, Iyore, the truth is this. Any target is achievable if you put your mind to it. Whoa! I never heard those words before. Any target is achievable if you put your mind to it. You know what I did? When I heard that, I went back to Papa, my branch, and my prospecting changed. In sales, they say that you make up in numbers what you lack in skill. This means that if you have two people, A fresher with no skill, B, experience, maybe even 10 years experience, A can perform to the level of B. How? If A makes up in numbers what he lacks in skill. B, who has 10 years experience, he can go for 5 meetings and close 4 deals. But if A wants to close 4 deals as well, he will probably make up for his lack of skill of being able to close 5, meet 5 and close 4. He will make up for that lack of skill. But instead of meeting 5 to close 4, he will meet 50 to close 4. And I went back to Papa. I prospected aggressively. How many meetings do you have every day as a banker? There's a required number of meetings for you to be able to meet your sales targets. 3 keys to meeting any sales targets. 3 keys. Number 1, the right mindset. You must have the right attitude and believe and see that, hey, I'm not working for this bank. I'm working for myself. You must have the right mindset and attitude that every time I'm working here, by exposing myself to this target, I'm bringing out the best in me. I'm bringing out my potential, because heat, pressure is what releases the best out of us. And I don't want to run away from the pressure. I want to expose myself to the pressure. The reason why the best players in the world hire coaches is because they want to expose themselves to the pressure. We don't run away from the pressure. We expose ourselves to it so that the best in us comes out. Nobody died because of this pressure. But people were transformed and became superstars because of this pressure. Second thing that helps you achieve sales targets, the right selling skills. And that's why you're watching this video now. I'm going to take you through the right selling skills to sell successfully. The third thing that helps you meet sales targets is the right work ethics. What is work in banking? Work in banking is not necessarily making phone calls, sending emails. Work is only defined by one word. Because if this thing is taken out, there will be no results. And that word is meetings. Meetings with new clients, meetings with existing clients, meetings with prospects. The more meetings you have, the more you sit in front of people that can do business with you, the higher your chances of busting your budgets. Maybe you're a branch manager, you lead a team. How many meetings are your people going for? You must insist on the number of meetings they go for every day. You must track it, keep tab of it, because the more meetings, the higher chances there will be of closing sales. If you know any banker who should be watching this video right now, please share this video with them. Let them join us and let them learn these concepts on how they can apply banking sales techniques to be able to bust their budgets. So ladies and gentlemen, meetings are key. Think about it. If you had 1 meeting a week, in a month, you would have only had 4 meetings. Let's even assume you had 2 meetings a week. In a month, you'd have only had 8 meetings. But what if you had 4 meetings per day? What you do in a whole month, 8 meetings. In a week, you'd have already had 20 meetings. In a month, you'd have had 80 meetings. Think about that. What it takes somebody else a whole month to do, which is 80 meetings. The person who is doing only 8 meetings, it will take him 10 months to achieve it. This means that you will be 10 months rather, ahead of the next person who is just having 2 meetings a week. Whereas you can have 4 meetings per day. You can plan yourself such a way that you spend most of your time having meetings. Because the more meetings you have, the more chances you can be able to close sales successfully. So let me walk you through a few skills now that you can apply. And these are the same things I applied. When I was able to bring in the 21 HNIs, the someone to bring 20 HNIs a month, I brought in 21 HNIs target met. Credit card sales, 10 credit cards in 3 days, that was the target. I brought in 12 in 3 days. I went for the World Cup All Experience Pay trip. Portfolio grew by over 100% in Standard Chartered. I was top selling salesperson in credit card sales at the time in Standard Chartered. Many success stories I can share with you in the banking sector. But I'm telling you now that these are the concepts you need to apply immediately. The first thing, audience understanding. Understand your audience. In sales, the first thing you want to do is identify your target audience. I know that most times the banks are trying to get a large target audience, a large market share. They're trying to sell to everybody. But as a salesperson, you must choose a target audience for yourself per time. This means, who are you going to be selling to at every point in time? There's a part of the brain called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system is that part of the brain that helps you identify what's most important to you. This means that if you want to buy a red Toyota Corolla, for example, all of a sudden, everywhere you go, you start to see the red Toyota Corolla. Why? Because the reticular activating system creates what we call planned blindness. So you won't be able to see other cars. All you'll now be seeing is that red Toyota Corolla everywhere, because it will zero it out from the environment. This is the strategy for selling. When you choose your target audience and say to yourself, see, I'm going to start to sell to these people per time. It may not be for the whole year. You may decide to do it every quarter. Or this quarter, I'm focused on this audience. Next quarter, I'll focus on this audience. Niches or focusing on a target audience, it may not be wide. You will not see a large spectrum of people across, but you will see a deep spectrum of people below. This means that you will look at it, an entire value chain. If you focus on the oil and gas sector, for example, now, all the CEOs of oil and gas sectors, the managers, deputy managers, the administrators, procurement managers, you will have a deep value chain of people to sell to. And the reticular activating system will start to see those people very quickly. I remember one of the top banks in the country, a lady came to meet me. She was in private banking. She was doing well, meeting her budget. All of a sudden, she was promoted to the next level in her career. When she got promoted, her target was increased by over 100%. And all of a sudden, she who was busting her budget, she became a below average performer, because she couldn't get enough sales to take her numbers up to where it should be, because the numbers had increased drastically since she was promoted. You know what I'm talking about? She walked up to me and she said, see, we need to have a meeting. Can you coach me and guide me on what I need to do to be able to meet these targets? And I started to work with her. One of the first things I told her to do, I said, can you look at your existing database for me and check? Pareto principle states that 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your clients. Now, if 80% of your revenue comes from 20% of your clients, I said, where is that 20% of your portfolio? What industry are they from? And she checked, and she said they're from the oil and gas sector. I said, fantastic. Then from now on, I want you to position yourself, your mind, your thoughts, as an oil and gas expert. This means you're going to start providing oil and gas advice. You're going to start studying oil and gas materials in the news so that you can help to upskill and upgrade your existing clients. And this was how we did it. I told her, every morning, every day, when you get to the office, first thing you want to do, tell your PA to bring you all the papers for the day. Those days, there used to be a lot of physical papers in the branches. They brought the papers, and I told her, don't read any of the papers, just scan through. As you're scanning through the pages, all the oil and gas news will come to you. And you can just read through and have an idea of what they're talking about. I said, when you get home every evening, she described the apartment. I said, when you walk in, turn on the news and leave it there. While you're doing every other thing, cooking, getting kids to bed, Just let the news be playing. All the oil and gas news in the TV would come out at you. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, this is so powerful. This is so powerful. You know what happened to her? When she started going for meetings, she realized that she'll walk into a meeting and a client is talking about a situation. She just heard about it in the news yesterday. She could contribute strategically. There were some other clients who were not even as big. She was able to divide her clients into 3 categories: category A, B, and C. A, those who are doing a certain revenue. B, another revenue. C, a smaller revenue. Those who were in the A, she could contribute significantly to their discussions. Those who were in the B and C, she could guide them with strategies and principles to upgrade their businesses. So she became like a consultant to them. It was not just about trying to sell products or services. She was able to give them advice to help them move their businesses like a financial advisor to the next level. And this happened because she practiced niching, identifying her target audience. And when you want to identify your target audience, there are two things you can do. Number one, check the course you studied. If the course you studied, you love it enough, you can, based on that, choose the target audience. Number two, look at an industry that interests you. Any industry that interests you, you can choose to start from there to build a target audience. You may not want to you may not want to do 2 or 3, too many. You may want to do a maximum of 2 industries, for example, right? Because you're thinking to yourself, can I do banking and insurance, or can I do pharmaceutical and hospitality and hospitals? Can I do entertainment and hospitality? You're looking at similar industries that can go together. And I hope when we talk about niching, we're thinking, where do our prospects gather? I can niche based on location. I can niche based on industry. So if you niche based on industry, that's how you apply the techniques that I've shown with you right now. We know there are some areas where you have a particular sector, a particular nationality of people. They gather together and live together in a particular area. You can also niche based on location as well.